Hello, viewers. Today we are joined by a very upcoming and very established Russian military expert, Andrei Martyanov. He has made his name commenting about Russian military affairs, especially in the Ukraine war. We have been following him for the last 4 or 5 years, commenting, giving insights about the Russian military and also about the general foreign affairs. Uh, Mr. Andrei Martyanov has worked in the Soviet Navy, and he has also, after moving to the United States, he had worked in the various security firms, and he has published 4 books, which include America's Final Wars, The Real Revolution in Military Affairs, Disintegration, and Losing Military Supremacy. And all around a very knowledgeable person with respect to the military and the security affairs. So I'm very grateful to Mr. Martyanov for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So before we delve into specifics, can you give us your a forest view of what is currently happening in Iran and what is the current state of affairs with respect to the Iranian conflict between US on one side, US and Israel on one side, and Iran on the other side?
Well, Iran already basically obtained a strategic victory because there is no basically way in hell, in chance in hell, that United States Navy or whatever the forces the United States will bring in will be able to unblock the Strait of Hormuz, which they forced Iran to close. And so they continue to do what they do best, bomb civilian population, primarily civilian infrastructure. They bomb schools, they bomb hospitals, they bomb bridges. You can kind of make an argument that could be used as the military infrastructure. But after they blew up the school with 171 innocent children, the girls, it doesn't matter what they do now. And after Mr. Trump calling Iranians animals, so I don't think anybody in Iran will talk to Israel, which is essentially controlling the United States, and it's a third-rate military power. The only thing they have are the nukes, which they basically stole. Let's put it this way, and that's about it. And United States myth of military hegemony or what have you have been completely blown out of the water. It's basically a paper tiger. It still can bomb, but it doesn't have resources to conduct really serious, massive combined arms operations. And as a result, it cannot open the Strait of Hormuz. We know what is happening now around the world with the not just oil energy markets, it's also gas, it's LNG. It also sunk all those basically Persian Gulf monarchies, Gulfists, say there will be no Dubai, there will be no, it's all over. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, when the war is over, everything comes back. No, Iran has installed the toll booth, and it's going to benefit, it's going to finance its restoration. And Trump, especially with him evidently threatening the whole Iranian civilization, he's a madman, and the 25th Amendment should be invoked, and he has to be removed from the power because he essentially acts not in favor and in interest of the United States of American people. He acts on behalf of Israel, and he's completely controlled by it, including probably through the Epstein files, which he said, but I barely knew Jeffrey, and then he's mentioned there 5,500 times in the so-called Epstein files. So yeah, we have this situation. It's global, it's historic in nature, and Iran is basically hammering the last nail into the coffin of American grossly exaggerated hegemony, and once again, as I state many times for many years now, once the American military mythology have been blown out of the water, that's the end of the American empire.
Sir, could you please explain what happened last weekend with U.S. jets? Some of the U.S. jets were downed. Some of the operations were conducted in a quite secrecy. Can you please give us some light based on the evidence that has adduced so far? What has
Well,
happened
I
last
mean,
weekend?
yeah, we do not have, and we will not have the precise information for a long time now, at least for some time. So I'm not in the position to speculate. I can't speculate. I don't want to, because obviously there's so much and confusing theories, all kinds of those, and especially fanboys of tactics, they want to speculate. Reality is that the only photograph you need to understand what is happening there is not even those burned MC 130Js, which are for the special forces, and it is the boom of one of the AH-6 Little Bird helicopter, which is away from the main site, which with the burnt aircraft, and you can see the boom of this small helicopter, which is completely, the all holes from the machine guns and small arms fires, which tells you that there was no collision, there was nothing like this. So basically, they took out at least one helicopter, which was destroyed, and there is most likely wasn't destroyed by the special forces themselves. And we know that there was a firefight, and that version which Mr. Trump, who lies constantly, lying is his modus operandi, and his coterie of the psychophants and Israeli firstest, neocons like Radcliffe and others that try to present to American public. It's obviously not quite up to the reality. So most likely it was a failure, especially if the hypothesis, again, I'm just not speculating, I'm just telling you what probably you can read yourself. Hypothesis that in the end it wasn't the attempt to save this, the weapons operator from one of the F-15s, turned out to be the colonel rank and high. So it's kind of like already, what the heck? Or probably attempt at the uranium, stockpile not far from Isfahan, and that's about it. Other than that, it's difficult to say, but it's failure. We know that it failed miserably. And even if they saved let's say, indeed it was the saving. Private Ryan is essentially, saving this colonel. And even if they succeeded, when you look at this destruction on the ground, this is humiliating and embarrassing into the extreme, So no matter how they spin it, and the fact that, the United States loses planes to Iranian air defense, well, there you go, so F-15s, A-10 Warthogs, F-35s, evidently, so all kinds of things are being shot down. Just before I went to speak to you, they shot down yet another drone from Israel. There was another drone from United States, those pretty expensive ones, so shut down. So, they work. Iranian air defense works, and obviously they cannot repel completely the scale of this, especially standoff weapons. But we have to remember also that much of in terms of strikes on the Iranian infrastructure is not done just by those bombs or by JASSMs, which United States is running out of, Tomahawks or whatever the Israel is using there. It is also done by what many people still cannot understand. It's in Bahrain and other places. They have I believe they have it in Kuwait. I'm not sure though. Don't quote me on that. Then they still have some ATACMS and HIMARS, which the latest iterations of those ATACMS shoots the ballistic missile, which is ATACMS, and HIMARS shoots all kinds of the munitions, which now have been upgraded to the range of up to 500 kilometers. So whenever they say that, we're freely flying there, it's lie. They're not freely flying there, but they also use their basically ground multiple launch rocket systems like this to shoot at Iranian infrastructure. So that's what we have.
So moving on to this Trump's ultimatums and threats. Just the recent spate of threat that Trump has given, that Donald Trump is going to wipe out the Iranian civilization. What do you think they are planning in Iran?
First, we are having a madman and war criminal, which has to be removed from power. 25th Amendment has to be invoked, including most of his administration. You probably saw already how basically U.S. congressman unloaded on this. He's a cretin, complete cretin, Pete Hegseth, and so. Oh, good Lord. I mean, Iran knows that there is a definite danger of madman going for the nuclear button, or Israel, which has nuclear weapons, but it wants American boys and girls to die for Israeli interests, and it wants United States, if it comes down to nuclear weapons, to use nuclear weapons, because Israel is basically, it's a little teeny weeny country with grossly basically it was sold, the media and Hollywood sold this picture of Israel as some kind of the democracy. It's essentially a fascist state. That's what it is, totalitarian one at that. And so it's not very rich, to put it mildly. That's the whole idea is behind them utilizing the Israeli political power in United States to, United States essentially supports Israel militarily and financially. So we have this combination of factors. So Israel doesn't want to do it, but now when it became very clear, it was clear for anybody who had a half brain, actually, you don't have to be a military analyst to understand this, that once Iran closed the state, it's open. It's just that, there are conditions now. And Iran correctly put the toll booth there, told Oman that, we can communicate with you on this issue, but from now on, the world is not going to be the same as it used to be, except for, of course, Russia, China, and, friendly countries, which will pass without any kind of tolls. But we know now that Iran is going to benefit greatly from that. And now we have the Bab el-Mandeb Strait under the threat of Houthis, who will again close it, and they can do it. And there's nothing United States Navy can do to open it. And so we have the situation, which is a shock, energy shock. And that is why we have obviously there will be some people who need to be blamed. Well, guess what? Israel is going to be blamed, obviously. So it's already pariah state as it is, and it probably will dissolve eventually at some point of time, because it cannot exist actually the way it exists today. And Israelis voted for that. They wanted it. So now they have to pay the price. And same goes for the United States. We have the complete political chaos in the United States, and the economic impact is severe. It's going to get much worse, despite the fact that the United States generally is self-sufficient energy-wise. And we have, complete historic millennium, once in a millennium event, which essentially started from 1945 to today. So we are looking at the final salvas of the World War II, and the breathing space Red Army and Soviet Union afforded the Western civilization to rebuild and learn its lessons, because it was this civilization, which, especially European civilization, which started the two world wars. Well, it's over now. Europe is done, and the United States is just, I don't know what's going to happen. Really, it's difficult to say, it's, we have to wait and see.
Sir, I want to talk a little bit about timeline, because people are predicting that this war might end in a few weeks because it can't last long. But some other analysts actually say that this is a protracted war and it will continue slowly draining the resources of the US and Israel. What do you think, based upon your military experience and your political experience? Is this another protracted war in the Middle East, like the war in Afghanistan or Iraq, or do you think that this should shut up quite soon?
That's the problem. You see, it's you have to put the basically likeness or probability on the either scenarios. This is called contingencies. Okay, you have to calculate contingencies and say at this stage, I think it's going to be protracted in the sense that, Trump is covered and he's completely controlled by Israel. Israel needs the American boots on the ground, and so because Trump is completely controlled. He is basically sold out United States to Israel. There will be some kind of the at least attempt at the boots on the ground. The problem, of course, that and there are people in Pentagon who understand this too. Hence, for example, he threw away. Pete Hegseth fired the chief of staff of U.S. Army. That and again, Pete Hegseth, he is basically Christian Zionist. He's not Christian. He believes in all these fairy tales, from Scofield Bible. So they will try to put the boots on the ground. It's going to end up in the tragedy for the American boys and girls, GIs, and they will be killed. And then it's going to be what is called they call it mission creep. In reality, it's cowardice, pathetic political cowardice in Washington, which is infested with the neocons. And at some point of time, it will have to come to some kind of the juncture that either American society wakes up, which is happening as we speak. There are all kinds of processes which lead to it. And but it's still going to end up with a lot of people getting killed, on both sides. And what's going to happen, I don't know. But Trump has to be removed now from power, and his administration essentially have to be completely removed, because most of those people are nothing but the fanatical neocons or people so compromised and blackmailed for whatever, pedophilia, rape, whatever, the sexual deviancy, all kinds of the corruption. They are controlled by Mossad and Israel. So, and Trump, if you can take a look at him now, he talks like a person, he needs to be in asylum.
Sir, let's move on to your real areas of expertise, Russia and its politics and military. Sir, how do you think, because Russia, as this war has started last month or so, in February 28th, has been quiet. There is no real press conferences from Vladimir Putin about this issue. What do you think is the level of engagement with the Iranian military vis-a-vis Russia? How much are they supporting Iran? And what do you think are the Russia's interests in this conflict? Do you think Russia wants this war to be protracted so that United States focus shifts away from Iran?
No, no. I need to immediately interrupt you here. It doesn't matter now, what United States does. It has been demilitarized by the special military operation in Ukraine completely. That's the whole thing, which many people, it's spun by the, basically propaganda, Goebbelsonian propaganda of the American legacy media. But reality is, United States, its table of equipment, organization of equipment, its doctrine, its technology have been humiliated in the special military operation. So that's how Iran benefited from it and continues to benefit from it, because both Europe and United States have been demilitarized. The United States is literally it doesn't have functional air defense. Everybody now knows this, and you can see yourself how Iran ballistics and other cruise missiles and drones, fly at will, and they turned Israel essentially they wrecked Israel. Iran is benefiting, but no, Russians have no interest in war to start with. Okay, they hate war, but there are realities which have to be. So how to put it, have to be considered very seriously about all this situation. And is Russia or China help Iran? Well, I guess. United States supplies Ukraine even today, the minute we speak right now with you, 24/7. It supplies Ukraine, whatever the terrorist force of these armed forces of Ukraine, with the electromagnetic picture of the theater of operations. Well, Russians probably do the same. It takes, two can play the game, and that is why people say, oh my God, Iran is actually hitting some things which it's not supposed to know they are there. Well, it knows. How? I don't know. Don't ask me.
Sir, I want to talk a little bit about this president of Ukraine, Zelensky. I've been seeing him watching, traveling to Gulf countries, selling weapons to UAE, making negotiations with Saudi Arabia. We were told that Ukraine was out of weapons and they are desperately in need of weapons. how on earth are they in a position now to supply weapons and make deals with Gulf countries when they are really are on the brink of defeat
They're not on the
in
brink of defeat. They have been defeated. It's just a matter of how it's going to be arranged. Either Russians will have to completely annihilate the male population of Ukraine, or they will have enough guts. They don't. They are controlled by United States and London, basically. And those people don't care how many Ukrainians are dead. If the whole Ukrainian nation is killed, so it's fine with them. We are talking about psychopaths and people who are war criminals, and I'm talking about not just media but the governments. So, but no, it's all PR. It was always PR. And if you take a look at the timeline and actually development and dynamics of the special military operation, you will see yourself. It was PR primarily. It was spun by the Goebbelsonian legacy media in the West, be that BBC, which is, now it's pedophile British corporation. They found another pedophile in. It looks like they like pedophiles there in BBC, but the reality is BBC's British BS corporation. So whatever you say, you take New York Times, Washington Post, what have you, they were spinning this in favor of Ukraine. As the result, considering the fact that Trump is not a very bright man, Biden, well, we look at complete degeneracy actually of the American political elites. He watches Fox. And Fox is infested with all those loser American generals like Kellogg, King, who never won anything in their lives, and they're sore losers, and they have vested interest. It was all lie, PR, so that, and then now that you take a look and the numbers, Pentagon, some people in Pentagon know numbers, around 2.5 million Ukrainian soldiers have been killed. Multiplied by about 1.5, probably 2. That's the number of the people who have been wounded, some maimed for life and PTSD. So you look at the 5.5, 6 million casualties on Ukrainian side. And yeah, they bought it. They were high on their own supply, and they bought this narrative about Ukraine winning. And then now we can see how it wins. So you cannot lie anymore. United States simply ran out of the weapons. So did Europe. And again, we have to view and consider the situation with Iran within the larger framework of the global geopolitical shift. So Iran is one of those basically hot spots. If you look at it, that how Eurasia is reading itself of the American and Israeli influences and Western influence in general, with Europe being nothing more relegated to it's going to be a third world soon anyway. In some places it already is. So, and that has to be viewed as the larger picture. And Eurasia is ridding itself of United States essentially, or what they pretended to be and they haven't been in reality at all. So.
So I want to talk a little bit about, and I want your take on the future of Gulf countries, because before the war started, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates actually encouraged. Some reports actually suggest that they encouraged not only Israel but also Donald Trump to really hit Iran hard.
Yeah.
And when the war actually started, although they give mixed signals, but essentially they are egging on both Donald Trump and Israel to finish the job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand, because even if, just for the sake of an argument, even if they destroy Iran, even for the sake of an argument, US and Israeli forces destroy Iran, in the process, the retaliation would be suffered by the GCC countries. So they in itself could be destroyed in any case.
Yeah, they are being destroyed as we speak. And
so what do you think, sir, is the future of these countries? Because they don't have any military assets. All they have is oil wells, which they have been enjoying for the last 50 years.
I will remind you a famous expression by one of the sheikhs from UAE about 20 years ago. He said, "My grandfather was riding the camel. My father was riding Rolls Royce. I'm riding in Rolls Royce. My son will be riding in Rolls Royce. My grandson will be riding on the camel again. So this is pretty much what it is. They have nothing. This plastic shopping mall, which is called Dubai, it's over. They cannot. They were selling fake. The is Led Zeppelin. Stairway to Heaven. The girl which thinks that all that glitters is gold. They were selling fake gold. Tinseltown. For the Novarish riffraff who thought that because they have money, they have taste or class or what have you. So Dubai. 80% of everything in Dubai, from the occupation to real estate, is down. Okay, it's not coming back. Period. It's over. The majority of the investors are either removing or removed their funds from Dubai. Some morons who think that they know better, they removed it to the Saudi Arabia. Well, just today, Iran blew up number of the Saudi Arabia oil production or extraction facilities. So you cannot teach the moron. It's basically Dunning-Kruger effect. You cannot explain to moron that he's moron because he's moron. You cannot explain to financier guy from the West or from the Arab country that the only thing which matters is real economy, culture. Gulfies don't have culture. I mean, they were crappy fishing villages even 50 years ago. So they sold this fake luxury, and now I wouldn't say that I'm not enjoying this moment. I enjoy it thoroughly, seeing how those fake, all those skyscrapers are getting emptied, everybody runs away, and all the understanding of the luxury, it's all fake, that we are coming back to it's a reset, it's global reset in the sense of the real economy, that money don't buy you class, history, they don't buy you something which is tangible. And so those Gulfies, they don't have future unless Iran allows them. And believe me, Iran will remember the betrayal of the Sunni part of the Arabs, because obviously we have this also the dynamics between Sunnis and Shia. And guess what? Arab Street now, unless they are complete morons, but not all of them are morons, they are probably looking on Iran in awe, because this country stares down the United States and Israel together while their sheikhs are treasonous sellouts, and the only thing they care. And again, listen, anything which is built on slave labor, and Dubai was built on slave labor, Qatar was built on the slave labor, most of those Gulfies have been built on the slave labor. And I mean literally slave labor. If you look attentively at the World Cup 2022, how the venues in Qatar have been built, they were built by slaves from Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan, the other Arabs, So, and well, what can I say? Arab world, they have to do a lot of self-searching, but this fake gold, so to speak, is over. It's they don't have any future, and now that Iran controls Hormuz and it's not gonna relinquish this control, it's over for them. And Iranian people, rightly so, they will remember the treason by the Gulfists. And that is why they constantly call around to Moscow, They need Moscow to do something about it, Well, I'm sorry, guys, you made your bets. You made your bed. And so you have to sleep in that. And that is what we are observing now. And people report, right, just yesterday I watched it, a report that Dubai is empty, essentially. It's nobody's there. Everybody just runs away. Same goes everywhere there. Now then we have obviously Bahrain, and it's Sunni top barely surviving because Bahrain has a large Shiite population, and now we have Shiite Arabs in Iraq attacking military assets on the ground everywhere, including Erbil in the Kurdish territory. And even Kurds told United States, Kurds who always get betrayed and always subscribe to all kinds of the fraudulent geopolitical, promises. They told to United States to go and pound sand. This is the historic shift, unprecedented. So, we'll see.
Sir, just a final question, and I'm really grateful for your time, sir. I thoroughly enjoying this show. What's happening in southern Lebanon, sir? Because there is still a lot of haze around.
Yeah, we know that IDF, which is again grossly exaggerated by Hollywood and Israeli propaganda, it's actually nothing more than gendarme force, which is good only for like SS punitive battalions during Great Patriotic War, who were just go in and destroy and kill civilians in the, that's what they do. So as a military force, they're not good. Never were, really, except for once the generation of Jews, primarily Soviet Jews, which were many cadre military people, including officers, who went through the Great Patriotic War in the Red Army, served in the Red Army. Very competent, very tough people. These were the people who actually won the 67 in 1973 war for Israel. Those people are gone. Tel Aviv is the prime hotspot, global hotspot for LGBTQ, all kinds of other sexual deviance things. You look at their army, it's pathetic, actually. So they're only good at committing atrocities, as they did in Gaza. In terms of fighting anybody who shoots back, they run yet again in southern Lebanon into all those funny little things called cornets. Hezbollah have plenty of those, all those funny drones. And if to believe the reports, which I tend to believe, they lost already a tank brigade there. This is 130 tanks, Merkavas. And you look at how they send those Merkavas into the battlefield, not even remotely any kind of the essentially protection from the drones. And of course, even with the protection, the Cornet, anti-tank guided missile systems, they don't care about it. They will blow your turret away anyway. So, and this is what is happening. They are stuck now. They cannot move forward, and they are being blooded. So again, you look at those people, you have to understand, and I am on record for this for second decade now. They are incompetent. They really think they are arrogant because they are incompetent, and they believe their own, BS. They are high on their own supply. They get themselves into some kind of war, and then somebody shoots back at them and they get killed, they get blown up, and there you go. And here we are. The only thing they ever had was their more or less decent Air Force. That's about it. And but again, the war today, it is so different from those fundamental, military truisms which emerged from the World War II. And the only thing they have is, the nuclear weapons and whatever the Air Force flies. But then again, Hezbollah doesn't have air defense systems such as Iran. And we have to wait and see again. Again, I leaning towards more that United States will put some kind of the force together and try to do whatever, raid, try to penetrate Iranian, whatever, territory, and it's going to be horrifying.
So just can I ask her one more question? Final thoughts on you. So I just want to ask her about China, because it's also playing a very safe game at this moment vis-a-vis both Ukrainian conflict and the Iranian conflict. How do you think China is reading this situation? Because I believe if United States gets itself disentangled from Ukraine and Iran, they would head towards East Asia.
United States is weakened dramatically. So China is a commercial civilization. They are workshop of the world. This is a monstrously huge real economy, gigantic. It just dwarfs everything out there, United States included, which, by the way, is grossly exaggerated also in terms of its economic capacity, real economic capacity. I'm not talking about this Wall Street BS like, oh, yeah, look at the capitalization of Apple. Yeah. Apple is being made in only China and Southeast Asia. They count it as the American GDP. So it's all fake indices. But in real terms, Chinese economy is colossal. So, but they are not per se experienced military civilization. So what we have now, God forbids if United States goes for the nuclear against Iran. But as you can see yourself, Iran is not is being supported. We know it is being supported. Even Mr. Pezeshkian, the president of Iran, expressed his gratitude openly towards Russia for humanitarian, if you know what I mean, support. There is a humanitarian support. Even Azerbaijan sent 200 tons of humanitarian help to Iran. So there is a lot of support going on, and China will continue to do this. But China has obviously its own interests, and it will pursue them. And they probably got now. Some people say, again, make no mistake, I'm not the PhD in economics, and I'm not going to be talking about this in broad, but in broad terms, some people say that China is not actually very happy to essentially to see that what already happened, death of the petrodollar, because that's what happened, which in itself a shock, historical shock. But and petro yuan emerging as one of the, so China has also the issue of the corruption, which is very serious. And they also have some inner party, although Mr. Xi sits very confidently now. He has a very good control of the Chinese political top. But who knows? As I already stated, Chinese, how to say it, are they afraid of the United States? Probably not as much as they were before. After they saw what is happening, but they do not want to fight, which is normal. Nobody wants to fight. Russians do not want to fight, and Chinese do not want to fight. But I think all this, even if to consider what you propose, that somehow United States disengages itself from the, which essentially happened already to a large extent, simply because the United States has nothing to provide Ukraine with. In Ukraine and Middle East, they will try to pursue, obviously, unless, of course, this coterie of the nut jobs in Washington is not removed. They will, produce this, anti-China, East Asia policy and things like that. But the point is, there is the one step which China can make, not that Russia will be happy about it, but it's probably will oblige. China may ask Russia to indeed sign the mutual aid treaty, similar to mutual aid treaty between Russia and North Korea. And that means that in this case, if anything happens to China, Russia will openly come militarily to the help of China. And China, for all magnificent achievement of Chinese people and, the historic achievement on a historic scale to lifting more than 500 million people out of poverty, it's accomplishment of unimaginable scale, So we have to admire and applaud China for this incredible thing. But the reality is, militarily, China is not as strong as they want to portray themselves. They are not, simply. And United States knows it, Russia knows it, Chinese know them. They obviously are not there. They're much stronger militarily than Iran, and they have nuclear weapons to a certain degree, and they grow their nuclear arsenal. But still, in conventional field, it lacks obviously this operational experience which Russia has, and there are some serious issues with the Chinese Navy, which is called planned. Sounds funny. People Liberation Army and Navy, So they have issue with the submarine forces because there are only two countries which are ahead of everybody in this respect. It's United States Navy and Russian Navy. So in the terms of nuclear submarines, and China is still not there. They are trying to catch up, but it's much more difficult than one might think. And so they obviously are considering all these scenarios, but I think in the end, United States right now is weakened so much that, of course, they don't want to come out and say, we're weakened to such horrendous degree, but it is weakened dramatically. And as you might understand, any kind of the war with China will involve, at some point of time, nuclear weapons.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. It's really we covered almost all parts of this conflict, right? I really appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.